microphone close to me. I don't know if that makes any. I have not streamed in a while, and I feel like I don't remember how to stream. I don't know if you could hear, but like the music cut off suddenly in the intro, and then it started playing something else, and I was like, oh, that's great. And now my mouse is not working, by the way. I'm trying to fix it, but he's not responding. What have I done? Technical difficulties. Okay, now it's working. That's good. Thanks. Hi everyone. Here I am. I wonder why the subscribers thing down there is not updating. It says I have 2,420 subscribers, but I have 2,532 subscribers. So I don't know why it's not updating. It's pretty weird. It is what it is, though. Welcome, everyone. It's been a while. Let me put on some music, actually. I kind of want to have some music. I think I want to have piano. I like piano. That's pretty good. Hey, that's pretty good. Okay, tell me if it's too loud. Oh, hi, Sumley. How are you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. To be fair, I haven't seen anyone in a while. I've been gone. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think that's good. It's Friday, though. Friday is always a good day. I think. Most of the time, at least. I don't know. Maybe there. I felt like the music was a little bit too loud. Oh, good night. Oh, good night, Sumley. Good night, 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 night. Night, 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 night. Yeah, no. 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 My computer does not want to listen to me. Oh my god. Why is it being like this? Okay, now I think everything is what I want it to be. Hi everyone. How are you doing? I was going to stream later today, but I decided to do it now because I also feel like I get really tired in the evenings, and I also feel like on Friday evenings I think most people kind of want to relax from a hard week, and maybe they have plans. I feel like Fridays are like those kind of days when you have like tons of plans. Like, I usually go to my parents and have dinner on Fridays, or I see that. Wait. Oh, there we go. Now the chat is visible. Good. Greetings, my queen. Hello, how are you doing? Well, I've been off too for a while. Medical problems. Does the chat work? Somehow doesn't update mine. Oh, no. The chat works for me. I think. I can see it. I hope it's not like really bad medical issues. I've been having anxiety problems myself. To be fair, I've been having anxiety issue and mental problems for the last 10 years, but I haven't dealt with it because I've been trying to save it for a day when I feel like I have the strength to not feel bad. You know what I mean? I was like, I wanted to wait for a day or like a time when I felt like I had time and strength to take care of myself. But it just spiraled, you know? Like, if you don't deal with your issues, it just spirals over the year and it just gets worse and worse. And I kind of hit rock bottom. Oh my god, why am I tearing up a bit? That's see, my anxiety is making me very cryy recently. I get very sad for no reason. Oh, hi Llama, how are you doing? I'm about to sleep. It's quite late where I live. Ooh, I hope you have a good sleep. Does that mean you're ahead of me, ahead in time? You can see there it's 17 on Friday. Have you started your weekend already? Well, that's kind of bad. I feel better now. Oh, that's good. Don't mind me, I'm just recovering. Hopefully you too. Yeah, I hope so too. I'm glad you're recovering, feeling better. It's just hard to know what to do, you know, because sometimes I feel like when it has to do with mental issues, it can like sneak up on you. Like you feel like you're fine and you feel like you're strong and this is nothing, and like some days are better than other days and some weeks are really good and sometimes you feel good for a month. But then it just strikes you suddenly from nowhere and you feel like, okay, I'm actually not fine. And I don't know if it's like the fact that you're pretending to be fine so you kind of like trick yourself, or what the issue is. I don't really know. But I started taking care of stuff, you know, I'm moving forward. But it's like, you know, there's no good time to ever be sick. Like, you know, like normal sickness or mental issue, I feel like. And it's just like really unhealthy way of thinking from my part, I think. You know, with my, oh, I will wait until I feel better, then I can take care of my trauma. Because that's not really how that works, is it? Because it was always something, you know? It's like, oh, but I have this coming up, or I have this at work, so I don't have time, or oh no, now my friend is not feeling good, so I have to be strong for them now, or I have to do this, or like family members don't believe in mental issues, and just get your shit together, you know, and you try to do that, but it's not working, you know. I finished day by day. And I can't continue to read. Oh no, is it because you don't have the next part of it? That's kind of sad. I feel sad for you now. Oh no. I made tea, by the way. I made my favorite tea. I made cactus tea, and it has ringblomma in it. What's that in English? Let me Google ringblomma. Ringblomma English. Oh, marigold. Never heard that before. But yeah, I had cactus and marigold tea. It's really good. Cactus tea? Is it pointy? No, it's actually not, but I was gonna say that maybe it has a stingy taste, but it doesn't really. I can't really explain the taste. I feel like it's not like fruity, it's not sweet, but it's also not like Earl Grey that has that like bitter taste. It's somewhere in between. Earthy, maybe? Yeah, maybe a little bit on the earthy side, or herby side. Herbal side, maybe. I don't know. I'm not versatile when it comes to different tea tasting stuff. Herby. Looks like her. Yeah. Oh my god. I remember when I watched that Herbie movie when I was a kid. My grandparents, my grandma, she had it on VHS, like the old one, because then it came out like a new version in the 2000s. But I'm talking like the old one. I remember when I had a sleepover at my grandparents and we watched that on the VHS. Fun times. I have them on Audible, but I want them in physical form. Ah, I see. And you haven't found them to like buy them? Or are they that old that they're not being produced anymore? Oh shit. Oh, thank you. Oh my god. Thank you so much. They have VHS? Yeah, of course. That's like old school stuff. You know? I hope you have a wonderful stream. Good night to you too. Much love to you. Oh yeah, I also have like, because they updated on YouTube streaming that they have that you can give away memberships. So I get like 10 members that that I can gift each month, and you have 10 memberships left to gift this month. Let's give away some just for the fun of it, shall we? See some random people getting gifts. You gifted. Can I gift 5 more? Yeah, gift 5 more. Gift. There we go. Look at all these new subscribers, or not subscribers, but members. Ace also got one. That's nice. I actually know him. Papers I also know, actually. That's nice. I also feel like I should be a little bit on the side. Here we go. I don't want to be up all in your business. Oh wait, I don't want to be small. Wait, no. I don't know how to stream. There we go. Haven't found them in any bookstores. They are available to buy on like the Swedish bookstore and Amazon. Ah, I see. Very nice. Swedish online bookstore. You know, it's something like I don't usually go to, like I go to physical bookstores, but I never actually buy anything from a physical bookstore. Because the things there tend to be so expensive. I don't know why. But like the physical bookstores, like I want to buy from them because I want to support them, but when a book is like double the price or sometimes triple the price, I just feel like it's not really worth my time. You know, I don't really want to buy in the store if it's that expensive. Akademibokhandeln. Oh yeah, Akademibokhandeln. Yeah, that's a good one. But it's like one of my favorite stories of all times that I like to go to, which, like, you know, I think it has to do with my nerdy side, and I feel like every nerd in Sweden love this store, and it's like sci-fi bookstore or SF Bokhandel. It's basically a store that has all like board games, and they have figurines, and they have manga, and they have like imported stuff, and they have light novels, and they have books, and so many books, and a lot of sci-fi and like more on the nerdy topics and horror and stuff like that. I love going to that store because I love browsing. I like going there and like looking in the books. But like one book there can cost like $30. But then if you go home and you look at like another online store like Adlibris or something, the same exact same edition and book sometimes costs like $19. So why should I go to that store and buy it for $30? And I talked to them about this, and they told me that I know nothing about bookselling and they import their books, and that's why it's that expensive. And I don't understand. I legitimately don't understand, because like, how can another store in Sweden who also import the same exact edition and book have it for $19, but you sell it for $30, but you're saying it's due to... It doesn't make sense to me, you know what I mean? Oh, hello Gina. Hello. Your gifted members is based on priced member between $1 to $5, I think. Your lowest membership don't count the members gifted. What do you mean? Oh, welcome. Welcome to the bookworms. Thank you for being a member. I was in a bookstore in Stockholm once, and I had Symbol Fire on the ceiling, and it was the coolest thing ever. Ah, that's so cool. Like, you know, the sci-fi bookstore in Gothenburg, for example, they have like a real sized alien figure. Like, you know, like the Alien versus movies. They have like a legitimately huge alien in like life size. It's pretty cool. Your lowest gifted is around that, Ophi. Oh, I want to do this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wanted to like make the members a bit cheaper for people who just want to like have that little icon, or like, you know, use the emotes. I feel like I don't stream that much to feel like I'm worth like $5 or $10 a month, you know. I feel like, you know, I wanted people to have a chance to still get the perks. So I think I set it to like $2 a month or something, but I think I have like three different levels that you can choose, the more expensive one, or you can choose the like cheap one. Oh, the xenomorph is the alien. Oh my god. Okay, I see. I know nothing about the aliens. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's the same one in Stockholm. Oh, I see. I've been to the Stockholm one, and I've been to the... Because they have 3 different bookstores, right? They have one in Stockholm, they have one in Malmö, and they have one in Gothenburg. The one in Malmö, I feel like it was very... trångt. What's that word in English? Like the shelves were very narrow, I feel like. And it was kind of weird because it had a lot of like stairs, even though you couldn't like but maybe it's because I'm workaholic, because I'm just thinking like, what about the people like in wheelchairs, and how are they going to go up and down, you know? Like, there's no elevator, and there's like no room to have like a wheelchair in between the bookcases and stuff. Like, it made no sense to me. The Gothenburg I like, but it also have a lot of stairs. The Gothenburg do have a ramp, but not to the basement where like 90% of the store is. The Stockholm one I haven't been to in a very long time, to be honest, because I only been to Stockholm like twice in my life. I do want to go to Stockholm again just to go to that store. So I can't really say I remember it, but I think like what I remembered when I was there, which is, mind you, like 10 years ago or something like that, I remember that they were not so specific on figurines and like Warhammer stuff. I feel like the other stores had more to offer in those subjects, but I'm not sure. They could have changed that, of course. Yeah, the second level is the one I got gifted. Ooh. Thank you. How are you now? I have ups and downs in my mood. I feel like I'm mostly fine. But it's a roller coaster in feelings, you know, because like a few weeks ago, you know, I started going to therapy, or I started like stopped lying to both myself and people. So it's like, you know, when you open that box, it's like this Pandora box of feelings, and you feel like you can't really put the lid back on, which is good, you know, because you have to open it to like get better, but it's a strange feeling, I feel like, you know. I think they have a life-size Terminator and Predator as well, but I might be remembering wrong. Oh yeah, they could be. Stockholm is way more open now. Ah, but they have absolutely nothing, not even Lord of the Rings. Oh no. Gina coming in here with her little she knows. Oh yeah, because you were in the store like last year, weren't you? Like in autumn. You went to Stockholm with your students, right? Sounds like you're spiritually awakening. Oh, hi, Fox. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I wouldn't think so. I just feel like, you know, I've been bottling up issues for the past 10 years and trauma and my PTSD and everything. So I just feel like I haven't taken the time to do stuff to feel better. But now I'm just like on the road to feel better. I was gonna say be better, but but that's just yeah. You're healing. Yeah, I'm on the road for healing. That's it. I just found it very funny because like when I'm in Sweden to like get a therapist, if it's like through doctors and stuff and not like a private therapist. So I went through my doctors and I was like, I really need counseling, you know, like, or counseling, something like that. And they were like, yeah, we'll set you up with like a phone meeting. And then like a therapist called me, and that was like a gatekeeper. So you like tell them your issues, and then they divide if like, you know, what your issues are, and who or what therapist that has the best specialized knowledge about your issues and who can help you the best. And I talked to this woman and she was like, how long have you been having these issues? And I was like, 10 years. And she's like, what the fuck? And I was like, yeah, I know. And she's like, okay, start telling me what your issues are. And I started telling her, and I started crying, obviously. And then she was like, what? But like, why haven't you done anything? And I was like, oh, you know, I've been faking happiness. And she's like, what? And then she asked me, like, you know, I don't know how many times she asked me, like, if I wanted to be like admitted to like and like stay at like a psychiatric ward. And I was like, no, I don't think it's that bad. And she's like, but you're hearing yourself right now. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm okay. She's like, you don't sound okay. And she asked me if I was like depressed, and I was like, no, I'm pretty happy. And she's like, okay, but how are you not sad? I'm like, oh, you know, I feel sad for myself, but I'm not sad, I think. And then she asked me if I was like, was going to harm myself. And I was like, no, it's not like that, no. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm sure. So she was like in shock, because apparently she had never heard anyone with issues like me that has so many issues, but still being so happy and optimistic. I don't know what to tell you. But she was like, you know the meme when you like, you know, when you tell your very nice doctor a little bit too much about yourself and you get like admitted to this pillow room. Like, that's kind of how I felt. And she was like, are you okay to be here by yourself? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But then she called me like the week after, and she was like, we have talked and we have divided who is best suited to help you. And but they have like a wait list for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, and it's been a week now. So I'm like still waiting for a phone call or a letter for them to tell me that I got like an appointment to go and see someone. Teal Swan on YouTube for any specific issues you're having. Her book helped me recover completely. I don't know her or in the issues, but depending on the issues, maybe. I've read many books on my issues. I don't. Not everything is helping, you know, like, sure, books can be helpful and stuff, and you can learn, but I feel like, you know, I am a bookworm. I am the kind of person who look up information and everything, and that's what kept me going for 10 years without actually doing something. Right now, I feel like I don't need more information about my issues, or like, you know, I need actual help how to like divide everything into like, I don't know how to call it. Like, I want to like just, you know, separate the sea of what is good and bad. I don't know how to explain it without actually talking about my issues, and I feel like it's too depressing to talk about my issues, you know? Hello, Alexander, how are you doing? Books, man, I read books way down there at college. You mean you don't read books now? That's sad. And when we went to Gothenburg this autumn, they didn't go with me to the store. Aww. Had to buy stuff alone. That is sad. But Gina, we're going to that store next weekend, I think. We talked about it. Because like yesterday, or the 20th, Tuesday this week, the book sale started. So we talked about going to the bookstores for the book sale on the 2nd, right? I believe. I hope you're feeling better now. Busy working. I get that. I have like the good part of my job that I can read at my job. So that's really nice. Doctors doesn't believe. Yeah. I think she was in shock. I think that she never had someone actually call and be like, look at this 10 years of trauma, and still seeing a very happy person in front of them. I feel like, you know, people, when they hear about my issues and my trauma and my PTSD, most just assume that, you know, I need to be extremely depressed and sad all the time. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I have times, but I don't feel so sad. I just feel like, you know, some certain things are just hard to let go of without help. I read old English stuff and used dead end in my thesis. I love old English. I read Dante's Inferno in Old English. It was really hard in the beginning, but then like you get really used to it, you know? I also applied for some summer courses last year. I don't know if you guys remember, but last year I went to the university and took a summer course in Greek erotica, like, you know, like Julius Caesar's time, and like the poems, the erotic poems that they wrote at that time, and what that kind of influenced into today's literature and erotica, and what was more common then and what was used then. And it was like, you know, in the beginning, because I was like, oh my god, Greek erotica from like the Julius Caesar's time, oh my god, sign me up. And then I got there, I think it was a lot of Roman erotica as well, but when I got to and had my first class, like my teachers reading the poems out loud, it kind of made me blush so badly. I was like, no, don't talk about peepees in that way, teacher. But after a while, I got really into it. Like, not into it like that. Not like that, I promise. But like, like, you get more used to it, and it's not that weird after a while. But it was fun. So I decided, and also like when I did the exam for that course, it was like super easy, and I got like the highest grade that you could get, and like the teacher like wrote me like golden stars, and they were like, oh my god, you know your shit. And I was like, yeah, I do. So that was cool. But then I decided, you know, that was easy and that was fun, and it's always good to like learn new things. So I decided to apply for some summer courses for this summer. I applied for 4 courses, but I will most likely only do 2. I did 1 last year and I felt like that was way too easy, mostly because I already knew the subject and I knew the authors that we were going to read, so like everything was very easy breezy. And I kind of feel like I have a big hum on everything, on the things that I applied for this year as well, because one of the ones I really want to go, which also have the same teacher as last year, is a course in how the different Caesars were viewed in literature back in the day, and how well we can trust those literatures, or if they were like tempered to make the Caesar look better or worse. And I think that's really interesting. Like, you know, for example, Ovidius was not a big fan, and he got like, you know, sent off in exile because he did not write well about Julius Caesar, for example, and stuff like that. Like, some authors had integrity, but then you also have, like, of course, Julius Caesar himself wrote about himself, and then you have Plato and all of these people who wrote about the different Caesars. And it will be interesting to discussing the different like essays and poems and everything told about the Caesars. So I'm kind of really looking forward to getting into that course. Another course was like Latin, like the history of the language Latin, like how that have changed Europe and everything. Another course I applied for were like literature, historical fiction, or not historical fiction, but like history in literature, with like classics in mind, how the classics have formed literature that we see today. And then I also applied for like the 4th one was like a literature history about dystopians. both classical dystopian books, but also how dystopians today talk about society and how it criticizes society, and how much are we going to listen to the criticize and not listen to the criticize. Like, is it real? Is it something we have to like be fearful of? And does the dystopian genre look different before than it does today? Obviously it does, because we have different pointers in society, and society looks different today than it did like a couple of 100 years ago. So that's kind of interesting. Dante's Inferno, I remember that. Yeah, I want to do a video essay on Dante's like, I want to do both Dante's Inferno, the Purgatory, but also Heaven, because it's divided into 3 parts. But I might do one at a time. I was thinking about doing like a video essay just speaking about the different things and like speaking about like what they're talking about, but I'm considering doing one chapter for chapter when I explain each chapter what they are, like in summary, what they are about. I don't really know yet. I'm working on it. Or I'm not working on it, but I'm thinking about it. Like, I don't know how I want to like do that video essay, because I feel like I want to do a summary and explain each chapter, but I feel like that would be a very long video. That might be like 2 hours long or 1.5 hours, and I don't know if people will be that interested in a summary of each chapter of like a book. But I also feel like a lot of people might have a hard time going through the book, because it is hard to understand it at sometimes. Hope your summer courses go well, hopefully. Thank you. I don't know if I'm getting in to the courses. I think 25th of April I will know if I got in, and then the courses start in June. But I was allowed to apply for it the 18th, so I applied for it right away. No, 19th, so Monday this week. So I applied for it right away. It was pretty neat. Something I'm looking forward to. I think it's good to have things you look forward to, you know, something that makes you excited. A game that I really become addicted to is wait, I'm gonna put chat over there. A game I'm really addicted to recently is Black Desert. I have times where I'm more addicted to it than other times, but I don't know. Right now I feel like I'm in my my addicted era, if that makes sense. I think it's just like a very nice grinding, AFK grinding kind of experience, you know? Because it has everything. They also updated the horses on the game, so now they have like horse track, and the breeding is a bit different. The way that you tame a horse is very different, because they have like a mini game for the taming, which is kind of fun. I don't know. I'm very much like, it is an MMO, but I'm very not interested in like all of the combat. Even if I can grind the combat if I have to, that's fine, but I'm more into like the life skills that you can do, like the farming, the alchemy, the training of horses and breeding horses and selling horses, and now you have horse races. Like, there's so many cool things that you have right now. I tried the horse race. I think I did it wrong because they kicked me out of the race because I didn't have a horse. So I feel like I need to, like, not apply for a horse, but I think I need to, like, mark a horse as a racing horse. But I don't know. I haven't figured out how that works yet. But soon, I guess, I will know. Right now, I'm working on gathering cabbages. It's AFK gathering cabbages. I need roughly 1,600 cabbages. Because I need to do some pickled vegetables. It sounds good. Trying to earn money. It's kind of nice. I did join a guild as well. It was kind of like, I wanted a life skilling guild for like people like-minded like me who like the life skilling and gathering stuff. Because I know that they have like guild quests where you can like gather wood or gather, I don't know, stuff, and then you can like level up your guild and stuff. But I joined one and they had like this biggest, like, they asked me so many questions about myself, what I liked and didn't like. But then I got everything and I got into the guild, but then they started like asking me like, you need to be on this server, blah blah blah, and I went to that server and they were like, okay, now we can start doing guild missions if you want to. But the thing is, they have not given me permission to start a guild mission, and I've asked them like, you have not given me the permission to start a guild mission, so I can't do the guild missions. And they like, yeah, we have, and I'm like, no. So for the past 2 days I've just like stopped arguing. But they're asking me why I'm not doing any missions for the guild, and I'm like, but I can't. Like, every time I press start mission, it tells me you're not, you don't have the permission to start any missions. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't know what they want me to do. Like, if they want me to write to like the guild leader and be like, hey, can you start this mission for me? But like, the people in the guild are very rarely online. Like, how am I supposed to like get in touch with the people? I don't know. I might leave the guild just because like I can't start the missions and they're on my case to do missions, even though they have not given me the approval to start missions. So right now I feel like it's more hassle than anything. I was considering maybe starting my own guild, but I don't know. That also feels like a lot of hassle, So many things you can do. Oh yeah, I also got into Platinum on League of Legends. I feel like that's very like, if you're not feeling good or 100%, play League and you definitely will feel worse. You know what I mean? Crazy. I also started like rereading books I read in high school. I kind of feel like it's nice to revisiting old books and like getting that same kind of, oh, I remember this time of my life kind of feeling to it, which is very nice. But I'm also realizing so many things about the books that I read when I was younger. Like, you know, the quality is not 100%. Like, it's definitely not up there. And it's, it's kind of funny how bad it is. But it's also like, you know, because they have a special place in my heart, I'm not like overly criticizing of it. I feel like I'm very forgiving. But like if I would have read those books now, or like consumed it now, I would most likely just have been like, oh my god, this is the worst book I ever read. Why was it even written? It's giving 1 star, you know, because it's worthless. How did people even consider feeling like this was their favorite book, you know? I feel like that would most definitely would have been me. Kind of making me feel like, you know, I'm very, very like rough on my judgmental on certain books. But I don't know. I also feel like when it is, especially if it's like middle grade books or teen books, I feel like I'm more forgiving in my grading. I feel like, you know, I can read a pretty good middle grade book. Like, I mean, it's good, but because it's a middle grade book, I'm like, it was decent, and it's not that many middle grade books that actually are decent, which makes this, in comparison to the rest, very good. I will give this like a 4 star, even though maybe it's not worth more than a 3 star. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm the same as well with light novels. I feel like light novels are to be light and fluffy. So I'm not very judgmental or judgy when it comes to like, it doesn't have much descriptions, it doesn't like, you know, it doesn't describe much, it doesn't like, maybe the dialogue is a bit funky or not like 100%, but because it's a light novel and it's supposed to be a light read, I'm very, very forgiving. I feel like I give them an easier time. But when I read like old classics, like, I don't know, right now I'm reading War and Peace by Tolstoy. Like, I'm so much rougher in my judge of this book because, like, you know, it's supposed to be one of those amazing classics that everyone talks about. So it's like, you know, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna put you to the test, and I put like a big magnifying glass and I try to find issues. You know, I don't know if that's a healthy thing. But I feel like it's inevitable. I feel like it's hard not to, that you're giving like not the same, like, I don't know, I feel like, you know, you're not giving the same amount of leisure or lever to certain books, or because I feel like I'm the same when it comes to, for example, Stephen King, because Stephen King is one of my favorite authors of all time. I'm very judgy towards his book. Most people would be like, oh, but you love his book, so it should be like the other way around, that you love everything he does. But I'm very much the other way around. I feel like I have put him on a pedestal, that I feel like all his books have to be genius or I will be very upset. And recently I haven't really liked his books. And I have realized, like, obviously, you know, authors develop a style, but they also like evolve during like how society is forming them. and their opinions and everything. And he is very much a different person now than he was, like, for example, in the 80s and 90s, which means that his writing and his books are also extremely different. I mean, it makes sense. But I loved his books in the 80s and the 90s. But right now, I don't know. It's also that he's gotten into crimes and like detective stories, and I'm not a huge fan of like thrillers and detective stories. But it's also like he does detective stories, and I know that he himself read detective stories, but then it feels like he can't tie the knot in the end. So in the end, it's like, haha, it was like a supernatural thing anyway, because he can't really get out of his... It's like he's painting himself into a corner, and then it's like, oh, this is way too smart, so this can't actually be happening, and then he just adds like a supernatural thing to it, like it's like a last minute thing. And I don't know if I like it. Like, just write it as a supernatural story to begin with and stop with the thriller nonsense. But I don't know. First time turning in live. Will be nice to chill while driving to work. Ooh, hi, Cry. Oh my god, are you driving to work? That's nice. Or maybe you don't want to work today. Is it Friday or Saturday job? Because like if it's Saturday, I would be pretty sad. I hate working weekends. I don't know why. When I worked in the public library, you had to do like every second or every third weekend you had to like work. I hated it. Like sometimes it was fun, but most of the times it was just very dreadful. Friday morning for me? Ah. Yeah, Fridays can be fun though, because like Friday work usually feels like it's the end of the week and the weekend is coming, so like you feel more positive on a Friday, in my opinion. But I never know. Also, congrats to the roulette of being gotten a membership. I did a 10 membership giveaway, and you were one of the people who got a membership. So you got a membership for a month. That's kind of cool. So now you got some emotes and stuff. But yeah, I haven't streamed in a long time, so I feel like it's been a while since I streamed. So I haven't seen anyone in a very long time. And I feel like it feels like it's been longer, even though it haven't been that long. Maybe it's only been like 3 weeks, I think. Or 2.5, maybe. Per chance. Yeah, thank you very much. Oh, you're welcome. You don't have to thank me. Sometimes we win the big lot, you know? It's funny because like when I was younger, I was very lucky when it comes to like games and stuff. Like not gambling per se, but like if you buy like a lotto ticket, like 90% of the time I would always win something. Even if it was like a small victory, like a small little thing, I still always won something. But after I like turned 20 and up, I just started not winning anymore. It was very sad. You know, because my whole childhood and teen years, like my dad and everyone was like, oh, you know, Ophi always wins stuff, Ophi always gets stuff, you know. So like they would always be like, oh, she gets to pick the ticket, you know, because then we get something. But then it just downfolded after I was 20 and I started not winning anymore, you know? I don't know, like, I don't know. But they do say that either you're very lucky when it comes to games and like lotto and stuff like that, or you have a good luck in romance and love. So, you know, maybe I'm using up all my luck for love instead. Let's hope for the best on that one. I'm getting all the love from everyone. I think I have like an anime somewhere where the main protagonist, she has so much luck, you know, because she's like a sponge that draws out all the luck from every human being she is ever in contact with. So everyone around her is like left unlucky while she's given the best of luck in everything. And then like this unlucky demon comes to like need to restore it, because like they have to take away all the luck from her and like give it out to everyone. It was a very interesting one, because like the protagonist is so lucky in everything that when the demon tries to take the luck from her, she's lucky in like escaping all the time. So it's like, how do you take something from someone who's lucky in every aspect of life, you know? Well, hi you. How are you doing? What's happening, guys? Not much. We're just talking about different kind of things, I think. Do you guys have anything in plans for your weekend? Tomorrow I'm going to see my best friend Gina. She's also a streamer, if you didn't know. She does like chill streams with like very wholesome streams with Pokemon and Minecraft, that kind of games. We are going to go on a drive tomorrow. I've been sick for a week and like my fever is finally gone, and I feel like, you know, I'm so stuffed from being inside for a week, just like being sick. And I feel like I want to go out, I want to have fresh air. And I know it sounds like I'm a dog right now, but like I need to go for a walk, okay? Like I need to go out for a bit. So I asked her if we could like go do something. So I think we're going out tomorrow or Sunday. I don't know if we decided a day yet, but one of the days this weekend we're going to go and do something. She needed to do like return or exchange like a horse thing in a horse store. As you can see, I'm very well read about horse stuff. I think it was a horse blanket. I don't know. I was just happy that I got to see something else than the four walls right now that I'm looking at. What else am I going to do this weekend? I'm finishing a book today. I have roughly like 20 pages on my book. I don't know what book I'm gonna have next, but when I talked about like different books on a Reddit post, someone told me that the light novel The Ascendance of a Bookworm is really good. I own the two first book in that series, and I've had them for like 2 years now, but I never started reading them. But I got them because I thought that they felt cute and they felt like something I would probably enjoy. So I might pick that up actually. But I don't know. I also, last weekend, I went to a bookstore and I got myself, hear me out. It was a gay Ghostbuster light novel story. Like, what is not to love about that? It was like a Danmei book, like a light novel, with like two men falling in love, and they are like, one is like a normal detective and the other one is more in like the supernatural ghost kind of thing, and then they start doing like different kind of like ghost detective cases. It also seemed to be a slow burn in the love, what I kind of like. I don't feel like it's very realistic with the instant love. I also don't really enjoy the enemies to lover trope that many like. I like it when like characters meet and then like they form a bond or a friendship, and then it's like slowly burns into like a very strong love story that I like. Not that I like read a lot of like romance stories, but when I do prefer like the slow burn one. I feel like it's more realistic into how love actually works, because when it comes to the instant love stories, I feel like that's just like you get lust for someone because you like either how they look like or how they appear in like a situation, and you like lust for them. But I don't feel like that's love. So I always get a weird taste in my mouth when like you read like a romance story or like a romance book, and a character have seen a guy or a girl and they're like, I love them, like they are everything I need in my life and they give me purpose. And I'm like, but how do you know that? You've never spoken to them. Like, you're forming your own beliefs based on how they look like or how they appear. But we all know that like we are different depending on situations, and I don't know, I just find it weird with the instant love stories. Hence why I feel like Romeo and Julia is a very weird story. Like Shakespeare, what the fuck? Hi Queen, hi Jupiter, welcome. Like, Romeo and Juliet is so weird because like I know that like Shakespeare, he stole that from like a Roman or a Greek legend about Pyramus and Thisbe. And Pyramus and Thisbe is like the legend of like two neighbors whose parents and family hate each other, but like they're neighbors. And Pyramus and Thisbe, they love each other because like even though the parents hate each other, they hang out in quotation because there's like this hole in like the fence, and they get to like speak to each other and like, you know, maybe even kiss a little bit through the hole. And it just sounds like a glory hole. I'm hearing it myself. But that's not what happens, I promise. But then they talk to each other, and they have like these discussions for a long time until it gets overly dramatic, and you know, they go out and they decide to like run away together, but like misunderstandings happens and they think the other one is dead, so they Sudoku themselves, and then the other one realized that he wasn't dead, so she Sudoku too, and there's like a big fountain of blood, and that's what Romeo and Juliet is based on. But even though Pyramus and Thisbe still had like, you know, a connection, and they still talked to each other for a long time until they decided to run away together. When it comes to Romeo and Juliet, they basically just see each other and then they'd be like, ooh, he's a bad boy because like my family doesn't like him, but he's pretty, so I want him. It's weird to me with the instant love. I don't know. Oh my god, look at me ranting about love stories and books like it actually matters. I do want to do like a real comparison, because I'm thinking about reading more Shakespeare. Like, I've read Hamlet, I've read Henry V, I've read like, you know, I've read Romeo and Juliet and all of these, you know. But I want to reread them because I've read them when I was in high school or something. So I feel like I would probably view them differently if I read them now, because my reading have evolved and my analytic of books have evolved a little bit. So I feel like I would understand more, I feel like, if I read them now compared to when I read them in high school. And I do want to do a video essay comparing Shakespeare's, what he took inspiration from. So like a video essay comparing Pyramus and Thisbe to Romeo and Juliet. The same is with Hamlet, because Hamlet is also taken from another legend. So I kind of want to like see the comparisons between the different stories. I don't know, like, what I remember when I read Shakespeare, like in high school, I kinda didn't like Shakespeare. I felt like he was like this, I don't know, I just didn't like it, but I think it's also because I took Latin classes and we would talk about like ancient Greek and ancient stories and legends, so I knew a lot of Shakespeare's stories were taken from those legends. So I think I just had a view of Shakespeare as like a lazy bum who stole stuff from others. And I now feel like it's not a fair view, because if you look at all authors today, obviously like people take stuff from, or take inspiration from different situations and stories and everything, and that does not mean they're stealing or like but I just felt like, oh my god, look at this Shakespeare dude, you know, he can't think about his own story, so, you know, he went to like ancient legends from the ancient Greek, and he basically stole everything, and then he told everyone it was 100% his own work. You know, I was like, fucking douchebag. That was my view of Shakespeare in high school. But I feel like it's not fair. You know? Lol, yeah. Like, we can't really invent the wheel 100 times, like, you know, because there's so many books and so many poems written today, like, you know, at some point, I feel like it's the same with people who say like they copyrighted or they stole someone's design when it comes to VTuber models as well. Like, there's so many models out there that you can't really copyright like a color scheme, or you can't really copyright Vikings, or you can't copyright, like, you know, they don't belong to you. Just the same as, you know, like, obviously it's going to be similarities in stories and books as well. But I do feel like it was easier before, because, like, imagine being an author when there's not that many books produced, and, you know, anything you write is just like, oh damn, they're a genius. You know, not that I know if that was the case, but, like, you know, a part of me is just like telling myself that everyone loved everything ever written. And again, before that you had storytelling, but like through singing and through like, so even before books were created, there was still a storytelling, but then you had to like remember the story, and that's why some stories are different depending on who remembers them, because some details are either changed or some details are added to a story. I mean, just look at the Bible. Like, every Bible story is supposed to be told mouth to mouth, like for many, many years, until it was actually written down in the Bible. Like, how much are we sure was added? And how much do we think was like this is word for word the actual story. Hello, Queen. Hi, Flagler. How are you doing this wonderful day? I mean, it's like the same for translations. Translation changed so much. Like I've read like Latin poems for a long time, right? I know Latin, like I knew Latin because I took Latin for 3 years, but I can't say that I have maintained my Latin knowledge that well, so I can't really say that I can read a poem right now and understand everything. I will understand parts of it, obviously, but like it's not really fluent. I mean, it's a dead language as well, so like fluent how? But yeah, and I feel like if you read it, like Latin poems, and you feel like this makes sense. Let me think a little bit. Like, I've read the same translations to the same poem in English and Swedish and Latin, and all three of them have different meanings. Like, they have like the same core bone, but like word for word, they somehow are different. I've also read multiple Swedish translations of the same poem or poetry, and it's also different, which is really, really interesting to me. Like, translations are so... it can really change that much. All good. Hope the sim is going well today. Yeah, it's going great. I was a little bit like worried in the beginning because I was like, oh shit, I have not done a video or like a stream in a very, very long time. So I was like really anxious in starting the stream because I was like, oh no, people will most likely not remember who I am. You know? And I think that's just like anxiety talking, like, you know, because as soon as I started my stream, everything was just fine, obviously. But it's like, you know, when the fear in the beginning, and you're like, oh shit, people probably forgot who I am and people will not show up. But it doesn't really matter because I feel like, at least for me, I don't really do content for others. Even if I do enjoy educating people when it comes to like analyzing books and talking about books and helping with book recommendations and all these things, I kind of do content for me. Like, I want to rant about books. I want a space where I can just like, these are my thoughts on these books or these subjects, you know? If people enjoy that and being entertained by that, that's just a bonus to me. What's the most drastically changed story you have read? Oh, that's a good question, actually. Like, I can't remember because like I feel like it's more common when it comes to older literature or like older poems in specific. There was this one poem I read that it's hard to know. Sorry, I'm trying to remember exactly what the different ones said and like, you know. But there was like in one poem by Catullus, I think it was. Like in one of the translations, you got the feeling that he was speaking about like a woman he knew. A woman like it was a love poem or like erotic poem about this. In one translation, it felt like he knew this woman. He had given the woman a name, and everything. But then in another translation, it felt like it was not really that drastic, I guess. But then it was more like it wasn't for a specific woman, but women in general. And that he had given it a name just because that name sounded good in the context, but not because he was speaking about a specific lover of him. But it's like, you know, different translations like that makes the context of the poems different, because it's either a view, like a specific view on a specific woman, you know, or it's a view of women in general, which can like change, like, you know, like, is he speaking, because it was also like it was not like a nice erotica, it was more like, you know, this woman needs to get her anal filled and blah blah blah, you know, but in a bad way, like, you know, fuck her kind of way. So it's like, is he saying that about all women because he's a sad incel and he's just like rambling and hating women, he's a female hater? Or is he actually upset about this woman who hurt him and he's saying that to her? It was like generalized. So it's like stuff like that. And sometimes translation can also change, like if someone is dead or not. I don't know why that's a thing, but I've encountered a lot of poems where in some translations they're talking about someone being dead, but then in other translations they're taking away the dead part, like, you know, that person is not dead. I don't know if it's like a specific Latin word that some people just change, or it changes the meaning, because like I know that some translators they translate word for word, but then they also make their own context of what they feel the word for word is supposed to be. And sometimes, because it is a poem, and usually when it's like Latin poetry, it is also written in a specific like singing kind of way. I don't know like the English word for that, but like when it came to Latin poems, they were written to be sung, right? And sometimes translators try to get the right kind of like, this word can't be this many syllables because it has to be able to be sung in this kind of like melodic kind of way, which again, because they trying so hard to preserve like or have that melodic way to be able to sing it in that way, they also uses words that sometimes changes meaning again. The power of literature, the ability to raise the dead. Yeah, that too. I find it really interesting though that translations are so different. Like they're so vastly different. And it's like, you know, I don't know, it's interesting. Like sometimes I feel like some translations are better than others because you know that like this translator have also read up on the author and know a lot of the author's other works, and they know about the author's lifestyle back in the day or something like that. So when they do a translation, they have like more backbone or like meat on their bones. Because I feel like you can also tell if someone is just like, oh, I know the language, so I translated it. But I feel like context is sometimes really, really important. And I feel like a lot of translators don't add that. Like today, I think it's easier to translate because like the contemporary fiction that we have today is not that deep. Like, of course, we want it to be deep, and some literature and fiction are deep, don't get me wrong. But like, if we look back in time on like the poems that we had back in the time, every single word, every single ending and syllable and prefix and suffix in Latin have, like, it was so extremely thought out. You know, everything was so well thought out when you wrote it, that when you translate it into a different language, it's hard because you can't, some things can't be translated. But when it comes to contemporary fiction today, everything can be kinda almost translated. I feel like the issue we have with fiction today is that people want to read more fiction from other countries because they want to learn about culture. But when they go into those books and those fictional books, they know it's a book from a different country, but they don't know that much about that country or the culture of that country. But they think that they will learn when they read a book. And don't get me wrong, that's super, like, it can happen, of course. Like, of course it can happen. But if you don't have the knowledge to begin with, like, most contemporary fictions are not going to describe to you why, for example, Swedish fika is important to Swedes. And fika in Sweden is like afternoon tea-ish. It has a different kind of meaning. It's not really afternoon tea, but it's like this easiest I can explain it to someone who's not a Swede. But it's really, really important. But if you take something like that, and because I read a review on someone who read a Swedish book, and this person was like, I don't understand why they have a cup of coffee all the time. And I was like, well, it's a Swedish thing, obviously. Like, what do you mean? But when they read these books, they go in with like a view and they compare it to what they are used to. And to them, it's weird. But if you have context behind it, like, why do we have fika? Why is it important to the Swedes? It makes sense in a different way. But I feel like a lot of people today, they try to read books from other countries, which is great, is wonderful. We're expanding. We have translations today, like, you know. But then they judge the book because they don't understand certain things. Something, for example, I feel like I read a lot of Japanese books. And I'm not speaking about like manga or light novels because that's also Japanese books, obviously. But I'm speaking more of like contemporary fiction or like sci-fi books or something. They are so different. Like, sure, it's a different culture and everything. But the way Japanese authors write is really different. Like, the way the storytelling goes and what is important to them. I feel like we have like different views on how we write things. I know that a lot of people feel like the contemporary fiction from Japan is weird and it's slow. And I mean, it is a slow burn, and they do fixate on details a lot, which I myself love. I love details, you know? But I also feel like, you know, if you read reviews on Swedish books, I've heard that people think that we are some some country of psychopaths, because our thrillers and detective books are really, really gruesome and really bloody, and they feel like we are adding way too much horrible things to our books. Like, I mean, I agree. If you read a thriller or a detective story from like England, or you read an American one, like it I feel it's written for middle graders. Like, sure, it has like, you know, it has the mystery and stuff, but when you read a Swedish detective story, it's dark, like dark. Like, if you want to have like psychopath, this is horrible, the end, like the world, why are we even living today, kind of dark, Swedish books. Why is that? I don't know. I read somewhere that Swedes and Norwegian people, Scandinavians in general, are really good at detective books or dark books. And they don't know why, but they think it's because of the darkness and the coldness of our country. Like, we're very happy people. People be like, oh, Swedes are so nice and so happy, but our books are really dark. I think it has to do with the fact that we don't see the sun that often. You know? Who doesn't get depressed if you don't see the sun? You know? Like, I mean, in the winter, we see the sun maybe 1 hour or 2 hours a day. And usually that hour is during lunch or before lunch. And if you don't have a job when you can actually go out, well, you're fucked. There's no sunshine for you. I see the sun often in my area. That's nice. We don't. Translations can lose a lot of culture, meaning, implication. It's crazy how translations are so important, though. But also, like, knowing a country or like knowing some stuff about a country when you get into a book can also change the view of a book. Because I feel like if you understand different things about a country, like, I don't know, like I read so many reviews on like Americans who read, like, they were like, oh, I want to be cultural and I want to read like Swedish thriller, you know, and they're so used to like these cozy, you know, like small, like, oh, someone stole this or something, you know, or oh, this person got murdered. And then they read a Swedish thriller where they describe legitimately how they cut people up and how they, like, you know, how the cut up leg looks like in the back alley and everything. Like, it's gruesome. It's legitimately gruesome. It's like night and day in comparison. I understand that these American housewives who usually read cozy thrillers or cozy, like, you know, teehee, this is kind of cute and cozy kind of mysteries, they will be very scarred after reading a Swedish thriller because they think it's going to be the same just because it's the same genre. It's not. I heard some people who got traumatized from reading a Swedish thriller, which I thought was extremely funny. But it's also like, you know, when I was like in high school, that was the kind of like thriller I read. So then when I read, like, you know, other thrillers, like for example, like you have Poirot from England, you know, or like Miss Marple, or, you know, Sherlock Holmes and everything. And I was like, oh my god, they say it's a murder, but we never get explained how the victim looked like, or like, you know, the gruesome details about the body, you know. And the thing is, like, I think it was like an epidemic in Sweden as well, because there's this one author called Lars Kepler. Lars Kepler is a pseudonym for a couple. It was like a husband and a wife who decided to write a thriller book together, and they called themselves Lars Kepler. Lars Kepler decided that they wanted to be as disgusting as possible out there. They wanted to have like the most fucked up books on the Swedish market when it came to thrillers. And after they did that, like, they were like a big hit, obviously. It was not the first gruesome books ever written, but it pushed the boundaries, you know. And after they started writing their books and they started selling really well, other authors wanted to do the same, and they started like pushing the boundaries more and more. And now, if you pick up like, you know, a thriller in Sweden from a Swedish author, it's going to be fucked up, because that's how it was pushed, because that was what was selling at one point. So now a lot of those are like that. Seems weird, especially seeing how much American loves the true crime documentaries. Yeah, but at the same time, like, if you look at it, like, they like the smartness of it, they like the true crimes, and they like to be like, oh my god, they did this and then they did that. But I don't think they like going into extreme gruesome details about certain things. And apparently some things are off limit. That's not off limits in Sweden. We also have a very harsh way. Like in Sweden, we don't have, for example, any censoring for curse words or certain things. Like, you can legit say what you want on TV, you can say what you want on the radio and everything. We don't really censor things, which adds to the books as well. So I think a lot of people get like flabbergasted when they're like reading something like this, because I have read books like this as well, but in America they call them extreme horror or gore horror, or like, you know, grotesque horror. So for them it's more considered to be a horror or like an extreme thing, and it's not something that you sell in a normal bookstore. It's more like a hush hush kind of like, do you want to get in on this kind of fucked up trend. In Sweden it's very much common, like very common. If you go to a Swedish library, roughly 70% of the actual library is going to be only thrillers and detective stories. Like, Swedes are really into it, like really, really into it. And it's a lot of fucked up things. I remember when I was a librarian for like an elderly home and like old people. So like old people who are too old to go to the library themselves, they have like, they can call to the library or to me as an elderly home librarian, and then I do a home visit with the books that they want to borrow. So basically like DoorDash, but with books and from the library, something like that. And I know like a lot of the elderly ladies, they either loved the gruesome things. And I remember one old lady, she told me, don't think I'm a psychopath because I enjoy this, but I really, really love reading about people cutting other people up and describing the details. And I was like, no, that's fine. There's a lot of people here like that, which is so weird. But when you say it like that, yeah, I don't know. I also feel like, you know, like a lot of people, Americans especially, they don't like rape scenes, I feel like. Because a lot of the books, when they talk about prostitution in the Swedish thrillers, they sometimes also talk about like, you know, what they go through in the prostitution, for example. With like the rape and the mistreatment and everything. And they explain those scenes and the rape scenes, and a lot of people, when they do the reviews, they feel like it's enough to hint at what's going to happen. You don't have to actually, you know, write in details what's happening. I don't want to read like 3 pages on about a rape. And I mean, that's valid. Like, I understand that. Like, it is a trigger for some people. But I think it's become the norm in Sweden. So I've heard that a lot of Scandinavian thrillers and detective books have been classed as horrible and weird from the rest of the world due to all of those things. Sounds like an awesome elderly woman. Yeah. She was really, really, really awesome. She also told me that I need to read Gone with the Wind. She was like, that book is the best book. I read it when I was 15 and I loved it. Read it. And I was like, yeah, one day I shall read it, I promise. I've still not read it. But she was really lovely. I remember her very vividly. I wonder how she's doing. I also remember like an old man that I would go home to. His eyes was really, really bad. So he was like 90% blind. So he needed like audiobooks. And we had like, if we didn't own the audiobooks like, you know, in CD form, we could like buy the rights for the audiobook, but then like burn it on a CD ourselves. And this man, he was like, I want to listen to these books. They are like, you know, my childhood and I really want to read them. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever you want, I fix, you know. I went to the library, you know, after meeting him. I started like looking up the books he wanted. They didn't really have a description, right? They didn't have a description about what they were about, right? So I just burned them into CDs and I borrowed them to him. And he was so grateful. Like, oh my God, this man was ecstatic. He was like, this was the best thing he ever experienced his entire life. And I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, which got me really excited about these books. Because I was like, if he enjoys them, and they are that good. And when I asked him what they were about, he was like, oh, you know, it's just society and human relations. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. And he's like, and it took place in his hometown. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool as well, you know, because I know other people who was born in that town, so maybe they would be interested in that as well. When I got to another lady and I told her about these books, I was like, hey, you're from the city too. Maybe you would like to take part in these books. And she stared at me and she was like super flabbergasted and she was like, did you know what you're saying? And I was like, what? And she's like, I know what those books. And she wanted other books and I was like, oh yeah, sure, you know. But it got me interested in what these books are, because she was like super like, what are you saying right now? So I went back to the library again and I checked out these books and actually found a place where you could read the descriptions about these books, and it was porn. It was porn for old men. And like I didn't know, but he was really happy. But like, I get it now, because like when I asked him what kind of books they were, because they didn't have a description on the website when I burned them into CDs, he was a little bit like, you know, rosy cheeks, and he was like, oh, you know, human relations. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool, you know. I was not putting one and one together, but I can see it now. But it was basically erotica for men. What a king, yeah. Yeah. When I stopped working there, I heard that man was really sad because the one who got my job did not give him those kind of books. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Because Like, one side is, as a librarian, we have the right to, like, no material or no book is supposed to be a no-no, because, like, we have, like, the right to, like, read everything, right? So anything that they ask for, we don't need to give them, but, like, we want to provide everything to our patrons, obviously. So technically, even if I knew it was that kind of erotica porn, I would not have stopped it. I would still have given it to him, because that's what he wanted, right? I don't feel like people censoring, and I heard that she's not giving him that now, kind of makes me sad, because in some way is kind of censoring what he wants to read, Human relations is definitely a way to put it. I mean, he was not wrong. It is about human relations. Oh my god. But, when he told me it was about human relations and, like, how the city looked like in the 1800s, because apparently it was in 1800s as well, it took place. I read a lot about, like, that city, because it's a big city in Sweden, right? So, like, I thought it was, like, just, like, one of those, because it's a fisherman city. So I was like, oh, it's probably about different family issues or something in a fisherman place. I don't know. I didn't think too much about it. But yeah, he was very happy though. I put some. I didn't put anything in the man. I was gonna say I put some life spark into the man. After he read those, he felt like he could conquer the world again. So that's good. Can't be fun to be, like, 90% like blind and not be able to read or see anything, and your like kids, they have their own families, but they also live really far away, so you're technically just stuck in your apartment because you have a fear of leaving your apartment because you can't really see. And I think he has Parkinson as well, because he was very shaking and stuff, and he could not really walk that well. And he was not a scientist, but he had, like, I think he was, like, a professor in economics or something. So he was very used to, like, be in big companies and talk about, like, stuff and things. So I think that it's just sad when you see people being shut in old age and they don't have family or friends close anymore. And the friends that they have might have just died, Sad. So, the little fun you can give to the old man, I feel it was worth it. It is sad, though, that he's not getting it now. That's a little bit sad. Life, I guess. You meet so many weird people when you're a librarian. I don't know how it is in, like, other countries, because I haven't worked in other countries, but, like, in Sweden it's so, like, if you need help with anything, you go to the library and you kind of, like, hope that the librarian will do the work for you in, like, finding information or whatever it is. Like, I don't know. Like, I remember one time, speaking about the fact that we had Valentine's Day kind of recently, I had this man come into the library one day, right? It was a Saturday morning. I was tired. I just had my first coffee in the morning, and you usually work alone on Saturdays. I was tired. I did not sleep very well. You know, I was not in a grumpy mood, but I was definitely in a please let the day go fast so I can go home kind of mood. There was not a single patron in the entire library. It was fine. It happens, you know, but like if you don't have anyone to help, the day goes really, really slow. So sometimes you kind of want people to just like rush in and you be busy, because then the day is over a lot faster. But nothing happened. It was really, really boring. Then this man came in, right? And he looked at me and he's like, "You're a woman?" And I was like, "I am." I don't know. And I was like, well, this is gonna be interesting, you know? And he's like, "Do you sell postcards?" And actually, that day we did, because we also have like art exhibit sometimes, and this artist had like printed her artwork into postcards. So I was like, "You have some postcards that's actually for sale?" And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." And he looked at them, and then he looked at me and he was like, "Which one do you like?" And I was like, "Oh shit, is it going to be like one of those really creepy dudes? Like, you know, what do you mean what I like?" And I was like, I don't know." And he's like, "Well, you're a woman, so which do you like?" And I was like, well, this one maybe. And I just pointed at something that I thought was kind of cool, kind of pretty, you know, out of them. And he's like, "Oh, okay, I want that one." And I was like, And then like he bought it, and he gave me the money for it, and I just like put it into the register. But he didn't leave. Like he still stood in front of like the information desk. And I was like, "Is this something else?" And he was like, "Well, I'm gonna write to my girlfriend." And I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And he's like, "Yeah, she lives in another city with our kid." And, you know, I was just like, okay, like maybe he's here for work, so he lives here for work or something, you know, and he's going to send a postcard home. That's nice, you know. And I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And he's like, "Yeah, what should I write?" And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to say?" And he's like, "Well, I cheated on her." And I was like, "Oh my god." And he was like, I want her back. And I was like, And he's like, "So what do I write to my wife in my postcard to like get her back?" And I was like, I don't know. But at that time I was also reading some love poetry, so I was like, maybe you can write something like this. And the dude was not he had not lived in Sweden for that long, so like his Swedish was like cracking in like accents and stuff. So then he like turned to me and he's like, because he was like, "Oh, that's good," you know, when I told him the love poem, and he was going to write it, and he just stared at the postcard, and then he was like, "I don't think I can spell that well. Can you write for me?" And I was like, oh my god. So I had to write a love letter postcard that I myself decided what to write, because he had no idea. So I wrote it like both with hand, and it came from my mind in what to write to help him get back his wife. And after that he was like super happy, you know, and he asked me if I had a post stamp as well, and I was like, "No, we're not a post office, so we don't have a post stamp." And he was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Where can I buy one?" And I was like, "Go to this store." And he was like, "Okay." And then he left, and I never saw him ever again. And sometimes I wonder what happened to that postcard, you know? Like, did my amazing love letter skills save his marriage? Or was it just thrown away? You know, I kind of need to like have an update on this story, because I was like, oh, you know, he will come back at some point, but I never saw him again. And that could be a good thing. It could either be that he was like super ashamed and did not want to see me again, or it could be that he moved back to his wife to the city where she lived in, right? So I mean, that could be a positive thing, that I never saw him again. But I sometimes I think about it. Oh, hi, Salso. Catch a stream. Oh yeah, and you got gifted a membership as well. So you got all the membership perks. That's cool. Also, bruh, you accepted a side quest to be a romantic scribe. Yeah, you're a woman is such a powerful opening line. We'll try it on my first date. I mean, the funny thing is that when he said that, like when he said like, you're a woman, he kind of had like, you know, like when the eyebrow went up, like he was kind of asking just to make sure. So he was like, you are a woman, right? You know, because like he was like, you never know these days, you know. So it was almost like he asked for my pronouns, but like in like a not subtle way. I don't know. But it was kind of funny. I gotta say, like, I think about it still to this day. Like, there's certain things that happens in the library that I feel like only happens in a library. In a Swedish library as well, like, to be specific. Like, I remember another time, it was a Tuesday, and it was a Tuesday evening because we work evening shift sometimes. The library closed at 8 o'clock. It was around 7-ish on the evening. I was working with my then best friend. Her name was Eleanor, and she was drinking an energy drink because she was addicted to Monster. And I'm not gonna say was, because she is addicted to Monster. She still is to this day. And she was drinking like a white Monster, I think it was. And I think it was my fault because like she was drinking a Red Bull, and I told her that Monster was better, and I introduced Monster to her, and she got addicted. So it was probably my fault. But she was drinking a Monster. It was 7 p.m. It was very normal, I guess. But there was this one man, and he was on the second floor. He was walking like back and forward on the second floor, like looking down to the information desk. And she and I was standing behind the information desk, and considering how he was walking back and forward, we were kind of like not in the mood to separate, because usually we say that one is supposed to be on like the first level and one is going to be on the second level. If someone is asking for help, they usually don't want to like come up to the information desk, because then it's better that the librarians are out in the wild between the bookcases or bookshelves, you know, because then it's easier to ask for help. Especially if it's not two librarians, because then you might be judged by two people, you know, so it's better to like catch one. That was the rule, at least. But because he was walking back and forward in a kind of creepy way, we were like, we will stay together behind the desk, because the desk was kind of big, and for anyone to get like to us, they would need to like really jump over the desk and like grab us, you know. But like the time went on, and like 30 minutes or so, and we were going to close soon. But we had also got a few returns, and she was like, well, we're gonna close in like 10 minutes or something. I don't really remember what it was. And she was like, I'm going to like place these books on the shelves upstairs. and I'm going to like tell everyone that we're closing in 10 minutes so they can like start packing their things up. And I was like, okay, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, I'm like 40, because she was older than me. So she was like, I'm 40 years old, you know, we can't be afraid of a man. And I was like, yeah, okay. 5 minutes passes, right? And then suddenly I just hear her like scream, like not like she's scared scream, but she was like screamed really loudly, like let go of me. And I was like, shit, stuff are going down upstairs, you know? So I started like walking forward to the stairs to go upstairs, but then she like came running down, and we went back to like behind the counter again. And I was like, shit, what happened? And she was like, well, he grabbed my hand. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, and then he told me that he wanted to buy me. And I was like, buy you? And she was like, yeah. He wanted me for the night, and he offered me $5. And I was like, $5? And she was like, am I not worth more than $5? And I was like, I would assume so. And she was really upset about the $5 because she could not really let it go. And I was like, oh my God. And it was just crazy because apparently when he saw her drinking the Monster, he assumed that the Monster was a can of beer. And he was like, she's wasted at work. She's like a slut or something. I don't know. He just assumed stuff. And then he just wanted to buy her. He was like, you can have like a can of that beer you're drinking. And she was like, that's not a beer, that's a Monster, you know. And he's like, oh, well, you can get $5, you know, if you spend the night with me. And she was like, wait, what? No, let go of me. And then she like struggled, and he tried to like drag her to the elevator, because the elevator is on the other side of the building, because there's like the stairs is on one side and then the elevator is on the other side, because he knew that if I heard her scream, which he did, I would go up for the stairs. Then he wanted to drag her to the elevator and like drag her away through the elevator and down. But she was very strong, so she like pulled out and she ran down, and then he took the elevator down, because we were really scared. Like, we were together and we were really scared, but we heard the elevator go down. But then we were like, we still need to check the entire library that he's gone, because we have to like, we're closing, so we have to like close down. But nobody wanted to go upstairs after that. But we went up together and he was gone, so he probably took the elevator out and just gone. But that was really crazy. And I asked her, like, do you want to, like, report him, like, call the police? And she was like, no, it's fine. But then, a week later, he tried to pull down, like, a girl in high school. Because he was apparently outside the school. And then he, like, followed her. And then when she was alone on her path on the way home, he tried to, like, push her down and rape her. And my friend Eleanor was dating the principal of the school, so when he was like, we need to like report this man, he asked her to also like tell her story of what happened in the library. So then it was like this huge drama about like we needed to go to court and everything, and I was like a core like like, you know, I don't know, it was crazy. Oh, thank you for the follow. But yeah, it was crazy. Crazy stuff. I don't know. That is some insane logic. I don't know, it was really weird. But like that man as well, he was sent like court papers that he needed to be in court, but he never showed up to court. And then he just vanished. Like he vanished from the face of the earth, and he did not exist anymore because they could never find him like physically, or anywhere on his social security number or anything, because he was not placed in a home with his like, you know, he was just gone suddenly, like he fled the country. I don't know, but like the entire thing was just like, I don't know. I never had to go to court because they just like, he doesn't exist anymore, so we can't really persecute him for anything. So the entire thing was just like let go. But I don't know. Crazy things I've been through in the library. That's pretty scary, yeah. But it's also like very different on like what kind of city you work in. I remember like this one city I worked in. The city was like, the library was in the middle of the city. The library was next door to like the bus station where all the buses came to, that was like going around in the city. This was also the place where a lot of like the drug dealing happened. But then they realized that the police were on like the roads and like everywhere around the buses, because it was like easy in quotations. They thought that like, take one bus, go to the station, do the handling and everything, then you just jump on the next bus and then you go away, like, you know, because then you go there, you meet, you do the exchange, and then you like leave as soon as quickly as possible. But the police started to like getting notice of this, and then that was a big no-no anymore. So they decided that the library is a public place, right? So they could go into the library, hide like drugs or stash in or behind a book, go out, tell the person like, give me the payment. They got the payment, and then they told them, okay, I hid it behind this shelf or behind this book or whatever. And then like the customer had to go into the library to that book and get the stash of the drugs. This sounds like like I'm telling you like a story of a book or something, but this actually happened on a daily basis. So we had like drug razzias on this specific library, and it was crazy. We also had like police guarding inside the library all the time. And we knew for a fact some of the people that came in that was like, I don't want to say drug lords, but they were definitely up there, you know? And you did not want to mess with them, because I don't know how many times they pulled knives on me to be like, you know, like, you shut up or else, you know? But after a while, you start thinking that that's kind of normal. So like the place and the city I'm working in now, which is, by the way, a bigger city with a bigger library, but like the culture behind the library and where the library is located is different. So, because now when I'm working here, it's like, it's super calm. It's super nice. We don't have any issues with anything like that. And I remember that I told my boss, she was like, how do you find this new place, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's pretty nice that we don't get like death threats. And she's like, yeah, that's not normal. And I was like, I know. But I didn't know it wasn't normal, because I was so used to the fact that that happened at my old place on a regular basis, almost like every day. I don't know. Crazy the things that you get like used to. I wonder if they ever is going to like get that under control. I know like most of the librarians, they work there for like 1 year, some less than a year, but I think like max a year, and then they just like move on, because then they have like experience and can get a job somewhere else. But I don't think there's ever going to be a librarian who stays and enjoy that environment. Imagine that we had to like walk around with police escort and an alarm you know, because anything could happen. And you were like scared all the time and on edge all the time. Because you never knew what was going to happen. There was also a lot of people who like locked themselves up in the toilets because, like, you know, there was like, for the first, you know, like, firstly, the toilets are free to use, but there was also like good place to stay because it was warm, it had water and everything, so you could either go there and just like do your drugs, or you could go there and you could, like, you know, spend the time in like a nice room that was kind of warm if you did not have a place to go to. We also had a lot of people who would like sleep on the couches and the sofas and like the furniture is in the library. And it's like, there's no rule that says that you can't sleep in the library, right? But I had a lot of people who's like, oh, these people, like, you know, like they don't have any homes and like they're here and they just sleeping and they smell bad, like, can you throw them out? Like, no, not really, because like everyone has the right to be in a library, you know. Sounds like a movie scene. Very scary to get death threats on a regular. Yeah, I think like that's been like a real part of my stress as well when it comes to my trauma and everything, that even if I love my job, like sometimes you just assume that things are normal because like you've been through it for so long that like it gets to be the norm. And then it's just like you don't know it's tearing at you until you get to a place that's better and you realize that this is how it's supposed to feel like. This is how safeness or is supposed to be, I feel. But it is weird, that's for sure. I hope government officials continue to fight that libraries exist. It's still an important resource for many people, yeah. I mean, we have the library law in Sweden, so like we would never not have libraries. On the other hand, the library law in Sweden actually states that we need more libraries and that every school needs a library. So right now we're actually making sure that every school has a proper library with proper books and a proper librarian who can help with everything. Before it was not a law for every school to have a library. Before it was more like a law that every city should have at least one library, and it was like per library or per people. I think it was like one library per 5,000 people or something like that. So if you're a bigger city, you clearly need more libraries and so on. So we don't really have that issue where I live. But I've heard the issue in other countries, and that's really sad to me. I also get like a lot of questions from people, right, who tell me that, oh, but you can't be a librarian soon because like that's a dying work, right? Because like nobody reads books anymore, and if they do read books, they're doing it like on e-readers or e-books, or like it's digital now, so you technically don't have a job anymore, right? And that's so wrong. Like, I don't think people consider the fact that when society evolves, the job as well evolves. So right now, like, a librarian is not just like physical books. A librarian and libraries deal with all kind of information, like, you know, computer databases. We do information science. there's a lot of like, we take care of all the ebooks as well. Like, where do you go to if your ebook reader is not working? Who do you go to get like free ebooks? Who helps you if your book is not displaying in your ebook reader? You go to the library, of course, because we know how they work. It's like, I don't think people think, but like when society change, every job changes with it. For example, like I'm a school librarian as well. I don't only take care of books. Like I don't sit behind a desk all day and wait for students to come and like borrow books for them. Like of course I do that too. But like I have so many classes. Like, you know, I'm the one who educates the kids in information science. I educate them in how databases works. I educate people in how do you how do you decide what information is reliable and not reliable? What is the premise of everything that we can trust and not trust on the internet, in books, in music, or in audio recordings, or in movies or videos? I'm also the one who teaches the kids everything there is about what do you call it in English? I don't remember. Internet ethic. Like, you know, how to behave on the internet and so on. I did have one class though when I talked about internet ethics, and I was trying to explain because everyone was like, everyone was like, you know nothing, and like, you know, we know more about the internet than you do. And I tried to explain to them that the internet is like an iceberg. Like when you search for something, you only see the little tip on the iceberg, but there's so much more down below. And if you do a more specific search, depending on what it is, you can find all the things down below, but then you need to know how to do those searches to get to those informations, because if you do just a big general search, you will only ever see the big tip, you know. And I also started talking about like the dark web, you know, and stuff like that. But I was not like really into the dark web, because like these were like 4th graders or something, or 5th graders, I think. I just mentioned that the dark web exists, and there was this one kid, he got like really excited about it, and he was like, when are you gonna teach us how to get to the dark web? And I was like, nah fam, I don't do that. I don't teach how to get to the dark web. And he was like, god damn. But then his mom called the school, because he, the little bastard, told his mom that the librarian at the school taught him how to get to the dark web and how to buy drugs. And she was like, why does your librarian teach my son how to buy drugs from like the dark web? And I was like, I never did that. What? Crazy. Libraries won't die out. It's like someone selling video games and movies at stores. Plenty more buy them online nowadays, but nothing is buying. Yeah, but it's like, you know, most people only think that when they think about libraries and librarians, they only think about like this person who puts physical books on a bookshelf. Like 80 or 70% of my job nowadays is very much digital. But like, because everyone has this old view of a librarian, they don't really know what we do these days. And she believed that kid's story, Insane Mother. Yeah, she came into the library like as well, because first she called and she was like upset, and then like my principal was like, yeah, I just told her that it was most likely bullshit, because like he's that kind of a kid. But he was also like, I don't believe a sweetheart like you will teach the kids in a 5th grade how to like get drugs on the dark web? And I was like, no. And he's like, yeah, I told her that. But then she came because she was picking her son up. She came into the school library and she was like, are you Ophi? Were you teaching my son how to buy drugs on the dark web? And I had to like take up the actual presentation that I had for her kid. And I had the same explanation and I had the same kind of like, I taught her about the dark web, how it works, and how it's very unlikely that, like, you know, I could have taught him that. And she was like, but he's like super good with computers, so he's going to like get on the dark web soon anyway because he's so smart. And then I told her roughly what you do to get onto the dark web, and that's when she realized that, okay, he's not that smart. And I was like, yeah, thanks. And I did not tell him that, but I told you that, so now you have an understanding. So if you see these things on your family computer, then maybe you can start worrying. But she was like, you know, oh, he Googled, like, you know, something about murder, and then he got like these articles about murder, and I was like, yeah, that's not the dark web. But she's like, but it's murder, and I was like, yeah, that's the normal internet, darling. Like, can we talk about what the dark web is? So I had to like teach her what it was, so she like got to understand. But kid is more likely to get caught in a sting operation, actually get into bad stuff. Yeah. Like, I understand why he was into it, because she started talking about that he speaks about creepypastas, and this was also during the time when, I don't know if you remember, but like there was a time on YouTube when like the video ideas, like, you know, I ordered a mystery box from the dark web. Those videos was really, really popular on YouTube at that time. And it's been proven that those videos was like 100% fake, by the way. But he was really into those videos, and he legit thought they were like real. So I feel like he was just like, you know, he was in that era. It was a phase. It's going to like get over soon. Just like that thing on YouTube was just a phase with people being like really into, like, because people went from those like mystery box from the dark web to what do you call them? You know, true crime documentaries and stuff like that. So clearly the child in like, he does have taste. Like, you know, I understand from like a personal view, because I too thought those was interesting. But his issue was more that he did not understand what was fake and not fake, which is my job as a librarian, to teach him. So I saw that as an opportunity to have like talks and discussions with him. He was very sad when I pointed out those things were fake, but yeah. He did think I was pretty cool though. Most of my students, when they hear that I stream, and you know, I'm a streamer and a YouTuber, they like, oh my god, she's so cool, she's so like young and fresh, and I'm like, yeah, thanks. I don't think they will be that interested in my content, but they are like 100% sure that they're going to find me. So they are like searching for my real name everywhere. And they're definitely not gonna find me on my real name. So like, I'm not that scared. But she's young and fresh, yeah. That's me. But it is kind of funny, because they are all like, if I read this book, or if I promise to return all the books in time, will you tell me your YouTube name? And I'm like, if you don't return your books in time, I will give you a fine. Like, you do the math. Who's that going to help, But it is kind of funny, not gonna lie. The students are kind of cute, when they want to be. Sometimes they're horrible assholes as well, and I hope that I hope to not see them ever again. Kind of feel like sometimes. That sounds really horrible, by the way. Oh no. Oh yeah, I got a stream on Sunday again for everyone who are interested, where actually the podcast that me and Gina is having, that we're discussing books and stuff and different book topics. We're going to have that on Sunday. I've been trying to have it for 4 weeks now. I've been rescheduling it so many times. Oh my god. But I just not have had the headspace when I'm doing my mental healing stuff journey to have it. Because even if it's like Gina and me and we're best friends, I kind of want to do some preparations before. And every time when we've been planning to have it, I've been having a rough day at work. And I have a migraine in the evening, so I haven't been like feeling it. But I asked her if we can't do it on Sunday, so we will do it on Sunday actually. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I think that what was I thinking? We're going to discuss like different kind of books. Like if there's some books that are better than other books, like is it... In Sweden we call it fin och ful litteratur, which basically means nice or ugly literature. And I feel like that kind of explains everything, but also it doesn't. But it's like, some cultural people who are sitting up and they'll be like, this is nice, this should be read because this is educational. Like, all the classics are classed as nice literature because like they are classics and classics can never be bad. But then you have like books like manga, light novels, comics. You have books like erotica, for example. That's just like nice, pleasurable things that it is literature, but it's like on the ugly side of literature. It's like you don't learn anything, you don't teach anything from it. It's like it's the kind of like literature that's just like fluff for the brain. And it's been like a discussion for like hundreds of years that who decides what's good literature and what's bad literature, or is it even a thing that good and bad exist when it comes to literature, or is just everything good? Like, is all reading good? Or is there some reading that is actually a big no-no and you shouldn't do? And I think that Gina and I, we kind of have the same backbone when it comes to our thoughts on this subject. But Gina is also a teacher. So she has different grounds. And she has different like things that she believes in. Her perspective on it is different than mine, so to speak. I think we agree on most parts when it comes to it, though. So it's going to be a fun time to discuss that with her. She and I have not been discussing literature in a very, very long time. I also don't know what time I should be streaming it, because like I usually stream in the evenings, like my evening, but I feel like a lot of people don't have time for those streams because it's not their time zone. So I might have a discussion with Gina and see if we maybe can do like a middle day kind of stream, because I think that's going to be better. I think as long as the readers are giving the resources or training to be able to decide for themselves. Yeah. I don't believe in bad literature. I believe that, like, and I mean like not bad in quotations, like obviously we're all human beings and we all have like different perspective of what we like. So maybe a book is bad because we hated the book, or we hated the story, or we hated how it was written, you know, or we hated the author, whatever it is. Maybe we hate it and therefore the book is bad. Obviously, we're individuals, you know, it's a thing. But when I say good and bad books, it's more like, is it bad in a sense of like quality bad? I don't know really how to explain it. It's like, but yeah. But I don't believe in bad literature. I feel like everything is good. I believe in all reading is good. Obviously, like, you know, maybe I'm partially believing that because like a lot of my genres that I like is considered bad literature. But considering that I love these bad literature genres and I love classical, which is fine and fancy literature, I feel like I have a voice to say that anything is good. I don't, but I also feel like, you know, when it comes to literature, it's like some books are hard to understand, some books are hard to take in. These books are usually called classics because like we don't just read them, like leisurely read them. We also need to understand the context behind them. Sometimes we need to understand in a social aspect, like why is this a controversy in this book, or why is this an issue in this book? It usually has to do with society, or it has to do with social norms, or whatever it is, because we can't apply today's society in classical literature. So to understand the classics, we need to look at like historical stuff as well, which makes them sometimes harder to understand, as well as the more you read, the more understanding you get behind books. Like, I have students who read word for word for word for word, and they only understand what's written on the page, which is fine. That is how you read a book 101. But sometimes we also know that author sometimes mean stuff that you can't really read on the page. Sometimes it's hinted at between the lines. It's not really written, but it's hinted at. And then you have to like see these hints to actually take in what's written between the lines. And something that's really interesting is that some people read some stuff between the lines, while other people see other stuff between the lines. And usually that happens when we have different experience to stuff. For example, if we sometimes read about like a very, not abusive, but like mentally egocentric person, some people who have experienced that kind of person might see that right away, while other people who have not seen or been around manipulative people before might just see a very assertive person, you know? Like different experiences makes us prone to see different things as well. Damn, literature is really mind-boggling sometimes. You know, sometimes when I'm just sitting here just thinking about books, I just go like, wow, so cool. I also feel like, you know, when I'm sitting here and rambling about books and like things that I believe in books and, you know, literature in the grand total, I just feel like, my God, I'm just sitting here and bullshitting right now. Because I know that I sound really smart sometimes, but sometimes I also feel like I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm just spewing ideas out of my mouth, or like, you know, I thought about this, so now I will just puke it out, you know? But you know, puking bullshit sometimes ends up being really good shit. I think. Maybe. I don't know. It's interesting though. It is really interesting. I'm starting to get hungry. I'm also seeing that it's like soon 8:30 in the evening. I wonder what I'm going to eat today. I think I'm going to make myself some sausages. Oh my God, that sounded really lewd with the fact that like, oh, I'm going to eat sausages this Friday evening. Yeah, okay. And not just one, but multiple. Oh my God, why am I... My mind is in the gutter today. But I was thinking sausages, or I was thinking maybe a Caesar salad. Caesar salads are very, very good. I might do a Caesar salad actually. But Caesar salad with some pasta, so it's like a pasta salad. I do like pasta salads. That's nice. I'm also going to finish my book today. I'm reading A Princess Diary. I started it yesterday and I'm reading it just to like feel like I'm in high school again, because I read it in high school, or I read it when I was like 13, and now when I'm rereading it, I'm just realizing how different it is from the movie. Kind of makes me maybe want to make a video on it, like a video essay on like the difference between both. Like I want to do a video on how different movie adaptations are from books sometimes, and like why it can't be like that. But I also maybe want to do like these are the big differences on this book. I also recently read a Harley Quinn young adult book, and I gave it 1 star because it was like the worst book I read in my entire life, and I wish I could take those days back of my life. I'm definitely doing a rant video on that one. Like I'm how about sausage on Caesar salad? That is a good idea. You're spewing some very good ideas here, but I have chicken for the Caesar salad. So I think I want to have like the grilled chicken in the salad. Is chicken in the salad? Yeah, Caesar salad is chicken, right? I don't remember. I don't know. But I might start reading. Either I'm reading the Ascendance of a Bookworm light novel after I'm done with the book today, or I'm starting Torture Princess. You know, the book that you got for me, Celso, on my Throne wishlist for Christmas. I might start that one because that one had been piquing my interest a lot as well recently. I've been reading a lot of light novels recently. I am reading War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I've gotten like a third into the book. But with everything going on in my life and all my stress and stuff, I just felt like I needed something lighthearted and that's why I've been going through all my light novels recently. I have so many books that I bought through the years, but I never actually picked them up and finished them. So right now I feel like I'm actually finishing books that I have on my bookshelves, you know, which is good. I like that. It looks very interesting. It does look very interesting. I like it. Wait, I actually have it right here on my bookshelves. Leaning. Okay. I mean, it does say like this on the background, like, wait, I need to burp. Wait, I'm a queen, I don't burp. Wait. Okay, I didn't have to burp. I am the torture princess, Elizabeth Lefanu. I am the proud wolf and the lowly soul. My God. I like how the first line is a beautiful woman appears before Kaito Sino, following his tragic death and rebirth in another world. A beautiful woman indeed. Introducing herself as the torture princess, she orders him to become her loyal servant. Naturally, his response is hard pass, and so Elizabeth presents him with two choices: become her butler or be tortured to death. After rethinking his hasty decision, Kaito is forced to wait on Elizabeth's hand and foot, as well as aid her in her mission as the torture princess, which is the subjugation of the 14 ranked demons and their contractors. But there's a catch. Once her mission is complete, Elizabeth is fated to die alone, forsaken by heaven, earth, and all of the creations. It do sound really interesting. I do also find it really funny that someone in the Discord, just looking at the cover, thought it was a hentai. I mean, maybe BDSM torture princess. Yeah, maybe I can see that. But I don't know. oh, Botrix doing the throne gift thing. What the fuck? That's funny. I like that my new bot, the Botrix, is so bad and not actually working properly. Yeah, I don't know. It looks... oh, it also has pretty pictures in it. Yeah, maybe I should pick this one up after. The Torture Princess, Elizabeth Fanu. Maybe. I kind of want to read, because I saw that some light novels that I loved the anime on, they have light novels based on them. Gothic being one of them. They actually released a few English of them, but they are not produced anymore. But I saw that you can find volume 1 and 2 on eBay. They're old books, but I really want to read them and I want to own them. At least it sounds like isekai? Yeah, I think so. It sounds more like, you know, some demon in hell. It kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys saw the anime Hell Girl or Jigokusu Tsuyo or something like that, where she's like, you know, she's taken to different souls who want to, like, revenge, and then if she does that, she will take their soul when they die, but she will still do the revenge for people. It kind of gives me that vibe. Like, she's the torture princess who tortures souls. And she has a mission, and once she's done with the mission, she will disappear from the world. Or from hell. But at the same time, I don't know what the mission is yet. But the question is, like, you know, what is the mission? How long is the mission going to take? As well as, like, this guy, why is he being offered a place to be her butler? Like, is he going to die? And then she feels sorry for him because she doesn't want him to die yet. So she's like, you may be my servant instead. I don't know. I haven't read it yet, so we will see after I read it. It looked like a vampire to me the first time I saw it. Yeah, I think it's like she do give off like a vampire-esque kind of feel to herself, with like the red eyes and like the big black dress and everything. She does like have a vampire-y feeling. But she seemed to be like a hell demon that takes care of like torture in hell. We will see. It seems interesting. I heard like this is one of the better horror related light novels. It's this one, and then it's supposed to be like one, oh, what was that one called? I think it was called like Magical Girl something. But it's not like, I know there's like an anime called like the Magical Girl website or something like that. It's not that one. It's not based on any anime what I know of. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's... Oh yeah, this one. Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Kaikaku. I think it is. Let's see if I can find something about what they are about, because I heard that they are really good. If you like in English it was called like Magical Girl Racing Project, something like that. Let's see. It's a Japanese light novel series. The plot is a viral popular social network game known as the Magical Girl Racing Project has the capability to grant players a 1 in 10,000 chance of becoming a real-life magical girl. Each of the magical girl possesses unique skills and special abilities and earn magical candies by protecting people and performing good deeds. However, at some point the administration decided that the 16 magical girls in a certain city were too many, announcing that they would cut the number in half by having the magical girl with the fewest magical candies each week lose their powers. As the rule of the game get out of control, the girls eventually find themselves dragged into a twist life or death battle against each other. It has roughly 18 light novels, and it has 3 mangas, and 17 of the light novels have been translated. The last one is to be coming out very soon. I think it's coming out this year. Number 17 actually came out 3 days ago, I see now. Yeah, it came out Tuesday, number 17. So I kind of want to read this as well because it sounds interesting. Magical girl animes are dark. I've seen some clips and they are all about death. I think ever since Madoka came out, like they turned dark because it was like everyone wants to be like a magical girl when it comes to like Sailor Moon and everything, because like, you know, you're pretty and you fight for love and friendship. But then, you know, you always have like the dark side of being a magical girl. Like, what is it you're sacrificing to become a magical girl? This seems to be like, you know, like things get out of hand and people maybe start killing each other because like they can't catch up on how many candies the other one have. So they be like, you know, oh, we have to like kill each other off because if that person is dead, then they can't really do much. I do like that I'm reading now that the demography of this, it's written for male audience. Can we talk about that? Like this light novel about magical girls killing each other is for males. Madoka is one of my favorite animes, but it kind of ruined magical girl genre by being so good and dark. Yeah. I loved Madoka a lot as well. I have not seen the movies that came out after that though. But you know, there's another one that's called like Magical Girl Website. Like Maho Shoujo something website. That was like you could write to this website and wish for like being a magical girl, and then you would have like get powers, but then you actually had to use powers for bad. And the main character, the protagonist, she was like bullied in school, and she was like bullied by her big brother that would like abuse her every night. And she used her powers to like legitimately kill everyone. So like she got magical powers, but she did not use it for good. But yeah, I kind of want to get my hands on these books. Are they expensive? $14 for the first one. It's not bad. All of them seem to be like $14. I like that the first review on this book on Amazon is by a German, and like the title of the review is "Not Bad." Okay. My first novel, and it's my favorite. I love this light novel. Oh, that's good. Favorite book series ever made. Oh, excellent light novel. I especially like the scenographic style of the narration and the work on description and character growth. Ooh. Both of which are even more important than the plot itself, in my opinion. I kind of agree with that. I like descriptions a lot, and I like character growth. Like, what makes a series and a book worth reading is when you feel like the character learns something. You know, like the plot can be meh, you know, in the end. It's good if it's good, of course, but like you sometimes read books due to your love for the characters. Some books, I have read books because I like the plot, but I did not really like the characters. But that just ended up with me never actually liking the book in the end, because like even if the plot is really good, I hated the characters so much that it was just like the plot could not rescue the story from me. The two first Madoka movies are recap ones. But Rebellion is a must-watch if you like the original series. The spin-off series is kind of bad. Yeah, I saw the spin-off series, or I started watching it, but I felt like this is trash, and I stopped. Okay, maybe I might buy this Magical Girl Racing Project light novel, the first one. It's only 4 left in stock. Yeah, I'm gonna order it. Yeah, bad characters makes the story not matter at all. Yeah. I know there's a lot of people who love books because of the plot, and they be like, oh, the characters are so bad, but like not like bad characters, but they're like, you know, evil or morally gray people, but then they learn along the way and you start understanding their point of view, and you start like not liking them as like, oh, we could probably be best friends, but you start to be like, okay, I understand the character as the character and it makes sense for this story, then I feel like it's okay. But if you just fucking hate the character, like, no, like if I read, I don't know if you guys ever read feel-good books, but when I read feel-good books, I feel like I hate every character there is out there. Like, the girls in these feel-good books be like, oh my god, I met this bookshop keeper guy and he was so romantic, and like they have 0 brain cells. Girls and women do not act like the people do in feel-good books. The same goes for the guys in that one. Like, and the misunderstandings, and they don't even talk to each other. And I'm like ripping my hair out, and I just feel like this is not a feel-good. This is making me anxious, and it makes me stressed out, because like, just fucking talk to each other, and then we don't have these fucking issues about these things. But no, I saw him with this girl, and it has to be that he's cheating on me, so I refuse to take his calls. Okay, yeah, but that was his like sister that you apparently never met, even though you've been dating this man for 5 years and going to marry him. That's odd. But again, talk to the person, talk to the man. Oh my god, I'm getting frustrated just thinking about it right now. Oh my god. I understand misunderstandings in a book. I understand that they can be important and good for a plot story. But when you read feel-good books and you read romance books, and it's misunderstanding on another fucking misunderstanding yet again. Like, people need to learn how to communicate. I understand people are bad at communicating in real life as well, but they are not that bad at communicating as they are shown to be in books sometimes, Oh my god. Or are they poorly written, unrelatable, unlikable characters? I sometimes like unlikable characters. If they're meant to be unliked, I like that. Something that I sometimes are bothered about is, I understand why some unlikable characters or some bad people, like, for example, like in fantasy books or whatever, you have like, the bad person, Nowadays, we always give the bad person a background story and a reason to why they're bad, which then leads them to not be that bad because they get an understanding and they are now like maybe unlikable, morally gray. They have big gray area, so it's like, who do we vote for? The bad person that has like a sad background story, so we understand why he's bad now, or the hero that has good stuff going for it, I sometimes feel like bad people does not need to have a background story. Sometimes an enemy in a book can just be an enemy. I don't know if other people feel like that, but I feel like sometimes we are misusing background stories. I like villains when they are written in good. I just feel like, sometimes some people don't need, especially like, okay, a background story is a background story, but I feel like a lot of fantasy books today, when they give a villain or a bad person a background story, it's usually a sad story to gain sympathy. Why are we giving sympathy to the bad person? Like, I would understand we're giving the sympathy to the bad person to then turn the story that the hero is actually not the hero. And we've been like, fooled by the writing style up to then, because that would be a pretty cool twist to the story, right? But sometimes it's just like they add a sympathy sad story to a villain and then they never talk about it ever again. It's just like, oh, they have a tragic background story. Do you feel bad now from feeling like they were a bad person? Well, they're still going to wipe out all these people, but they're sad. Like, I have this Dan-mei light novel. I have not read it yet because I've read reviews on it. and it's an isekai about like a mass murderer samurai who's gay. But he's a mass murderer, but he gets reborn, but he decides that like he's going to get revenge on the person that killed him, even though he's a mass murderer and was killed because he was a mass murderer. You see where I'm going with this. But then they give him a sad, apparently, I've not read it yet, so I can't really say 100% sure, of course. But then they give him a sad background story. And everyone in this fandom say that the mass murdering is okay because he's misunderstood, and it's sad. And then you have like the guy that he then falls in love with, that he, by the way, rapes, assaults, and everything therein, is because he's misunderstood. And the only one that can understand him is this guy that he's in love with, that's also his victim of a lot of rape and assault attempts. But you know, because this guy, mass murderer, is so misunderstood, he's the only one who can understand him. To me, this just sounds like Stockholm Syndrome, you know? I got it because everyone is talking about it. But I don't know if I will enjoy it, you know? Because after reading all these reviews, I'm getting like annoyed about how they have written the characters, and I have not even read the book yet. I don't know. Tragic backstory can be good, but classic Disney villains are loved just because they are evil for the sake of evil. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's like when they write from the villain's perspective, with they apparently do in this mass murder gay light novel. But apparently he has redeeming qualities, so like he's forgiven from all the mass murdering and slaughtering an entire country, because like that's okay, because like his mom was mean to him when he was 5 or something. It's definitely understandable, you know? I don't know. It's funny to me sometimes how people write characters. But then again, like, you know, I feel sometimes I'm very judgy because I read a lot of books. I judge very hard because I'm like, oh, I read this and like, you know, so I know stuff, and like, you know, I compare other writing with stuff. But I know for a fact I can't write better myself. A lot of people be like, you know, oh, but Ophi, you read so much, so you should be able to like write something even better. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. Because I also like, I would love to, because like my biggest dream is to be an author. But I don't think I can do better. I don't think... I also think that because I've read so much, I sometimes get stuck on the fact that this is not an original idea, which sometimes is not bad. Like, it's not bad to be influenced by other things and stuff, but I get very stuck on the fact that, well, this have been written before, you know? And I also get stuck on me judging myself really hard because I've read books, so I'm like... this is better. You know, I don't know. I don't think I would ever be able to actually write a book and be like fully happy with it ever. I would love to write middle grade books though. I would love to write books for that age span, because that's when kids read the most, and I feel like we don't have that much authors that dedicate that much time and effort into books at that age. on different genres. I mean, like some genres are like very full of books in the middle grade area, but like other genres we don't have that much, or we don't have that much variety. And I would like to be able to give more, but I also feel like I don't have a voice that could speak to that many middle graders, because I also feel like when I have tried to write stuff, it's just overly complicated, very brainy kind of stuff. I don't know. I think I'm trying to sound smarter than I am when I actually write stuff. He can be forgiven from the murdering. His mom was mean to him. Exactly. But it's also like, I think it's triggering to me because like I was in an abusive relationship, and I've been under their rape kind of situations. So when I read reviews on it that like he finds a guy and he assault this guy in every way possible, but this guy learns to love him, and then they start to love each other. But it's okay because like he has a sad background story, so it explains everything. It doesn't sit well with me because to me that does not sound like love, and it worries me that this book, because it has a huge community and followers, and it's usually younger girls, and they are romanticizing these kind of relationships, and that kind of worries me. Like, I can obviously see it's not a healthy relationship. I can see this book in its entirety is not healthy at all. But the fact that girls are sitting and romanticizing this love affair and being like, oh, you know, it started with rape, but now they're making love, so now it's fine. It took like 3 books in a series to get there, but like they actually love each other now, and it was all just a misunderstanding, you know. And it, you know, he had a sad upbringing, and I'm like I yeah, I don't know. It has a little bit of like a bitter taste in my mouth when I think about it, because I don't think you can ever love someone who abuses you. You can learn to live with it, and you can yourself be delusional that this is love, but I don't think it's actual love. So for people to romanticize that, it's almost like, you know, when people romanticize Twilight, that like sitting on the bedside and staring at you is romantic. It's really not. Like, if you wake up and you see a guy like Edward sitting in the corner of your room or next to you in the bed and just like staring at you like this, you know, like staring into your soul and be like, are you awake now? Like, that's not romantic, that's the psychotic, you know. But the fact that girls was like, oh, that's so romantic, and he's so broody young man, like, ew, I don't know. Yeah, romanticizing abuse is not a great lesson to be learned. I feel like if you look at a lot of fantasy love stories these days, there is a lot of abuse, and these are supposed to be young adult books. There's a lot of abuse, a lot of weird things that we are romanticizing that shouldn't be romanticized today. And that's like my biggest issue with young adult books today. Some things are just being written as okay when it shouldn't be. I don't know. It's weird. I try to stay away from love stories in all my books, to be honest. It is hard though to find books that doesn't like mainly have like a main love story. But crazy how books are today. Oh my god. But now my stomach is really doing the growling, so I probably need to end my stream here and go and make that salad of mine. I might, die otherwise. And we don't want the Lady Ophilia, not Queen Ophilia. We don't want Ophi to die, do we? That would be very sad, very sad. But it was fun to stream today. I really enjoyed it. But I will be back on Sunday with my podcast, and then we will bring Gina here and we will discuss if we believe there is such a thing as good or bad literature or good or bad reading. So that's gonna be interesting. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also working on a video analyzing or a book analyzing video that I'm hoping will be out soon. I also think that tomorrow when I'm going out with Gina, I might do like a little bit of like vlogging. So maybe I can do like a weekend vlog or weekend reading vlog thing. That would be kind of cozy and nice. I had a good time on my first stream. Oh, thank you for coming and stopping by. It's been very lovely. Ophi and Gina, yeah? Yes. We are a good couple, I was about to say. Non-romantic but best friend couple. I think that me and Gina has the best discussions, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I would love to do more podcasts with Gina. The idea was to do one each month, but like with everything that been happening, I put it all on ice, and I was just like, oh, I can't deal with everything right now. But now that I'm getting more or better, I feel like maybe we can get back to the original state of ideas. But I will get back to you on that one. I will not say for certain that everything is back to normal, but like I'm hoping for the best. Obviously, we don't want to be negative for the future, do we? But thank you everyone for stopping by. Thank you for liking down below and chatting with me and asking questions and discussing with me and listening to my rambling, for the follows as well. And for the membership subscribe thing. Happy reading. Have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully I will see you all again on Sunday. Bye everyone.